Welcome to Wednesday and a third day of her spring look number 2.
The sequel.
That's right. Now, you know, we love cutting dies. We love the machines, and then we kind of justify everything by getting cutting dies, don't we? But what we really love
are cutting dies and stamp sets that coordinate. And we have 2 great new sets to show you today.
And wait till you see what's been done with them. Come play with us. Well, here are the die cuts, right?
Right. These 2 great new sets. One is 10 tags and trims, and one is 11 labels and trims.
So more than just the tags and the labels, other goodies to embellish them.
Right.
But that's not all.
But that's not all. We also have these great matching stamp sets.
Yes, we do. Now let's just focus on tags and trims. So I'm going to put labels over to the side.
So with the tags and trims, you're getting that cutting die set. There is also the matching stamp set that matches each and every one of those little cutting dies.
Exactly. Now, so because these are hot off the press, you are going to see ideas on the back. So that's always a great beginning, but we have more for you, right?
We do.
Okay. So let's start. Actually, this is a set that you did.
Okay.
And so this is all just absolutely gorgeous. Isn't that stunning? Yeah, all tags.
So all tags. So this is a great first use of all those cutting dies. There are, how many cutting dies? There are 10 altogether,
right.
But you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different tag sizes, and I used all 4 of those sizes here. You've got the large, a medium, small, and then you've got these tiny little tags to place on top of them. And then you have all of these little accoutrements, these little extra accessories for cutting out little embellishments. But what I really love is the little ring here. It's like a little donut hole. There's a circle within a circle, and that's a reinforcement for the top of the tags that you can use.
Okay, so getting in close, that's the black area that you put on top.
Right.
Okay.
So you can do that, but you can also stamp on those tags. As you can see, these are embossed, and what you're seeing is black cardstock embossed with white, but you're also seeing white cardstock embossed with black. So you just,
and that's where you get the striking, how just absolutely striking
it was just
is.
really fun to sort of play around back and forth, which one looks better with white on black and black on white.
So let's just scoot the stamp in. So there you can see it. And this is the little one. Now, the congrats is separate, so you can change that and have something else there.
It looks like it's part of the tag, but it's actually, it does come separate.
Right.
And then you can just mix and match those greetings. There's all of these greetings and
also
wonderful
little hearts.
Right.
So
I love the artwork all over.
It's gorgeous.
Just beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
So you can stamp these on, or you can use the die cuts as themselves, just as tags, but just that lacy look, the floral.
So here's the big one.
Beautiful. Right. There's the big one right there.
We even have to back up a bit to see it. So
and we found that the best way to stamp these, or stamping and embossing, whatever you're going to do, is to first cut out the label. And then, the tag. First die cut it, and then you're going to stamp on top of it.
Right.
And it's easy to line that up with the acrylic, with these acrylic stamps. So what I have here is one of the tags that I cut out with the die cut, or the cutting die, and then I've got the actual stamp is sitting here, and because you can see through it, you can go ahead and line that up perfectly with the edges of that tag. I'm going to move it so you can see it.
Now you found something about the hole, right?
Right. I like to really line up the center of that hole, and that helps me to get all of the edges lined up. And it's really pretty simple if you're just careful before you set it down, and it stamps like that. There is there is a point on the small tag on this one. We found that the actual, when you die cut it out, that piece is just a little bit longer than this stamped image if you're lining up the center of that hole. So if you find that you don't like that, it's just like a little extra matted edge down at the bottom, you could trim that off, or you can leave it there as sort of a matted end. And when you're stamping these smaller items on those, here we go, on the die cuts, these are not necessarily symmetrical all the way around. So after you die cut a heart or a butterfly, any of these images, just make sure that you line up. You might want to turn that flower until you get it just lined up perfectly on that image.
And I love what we've done is that by having all of those extra trims, as we've called them, and by having the words, you really have a complete set. So that as you did all of these, everything that you see stamped is from the set, from the cutting die as well as the stamp set. The only thing you've added are ribbons and, of course, some jewel dazzles. But look how gorgeous that is.
Isn't that just beautiful? You know, and it's sort of, it's busy, but it's just sort of rich and opulent that way. And I did foam tape that in place so it wouldn't flop around, but you can just leave it loose with some ribbons, and then you can write on the back. With the black cardstock, you might use a white gel pen to write on it.
Right, so this combination of the three is a nice way to begin to see this in black and white. Now, let's go in living color. And here we have that medium size. This is the largest one.
Look at that beautiful tag, another beautiful tag.
But, surprise, Anne has turned it into a card, and a gift card at that.
And when we first saw it, we did think it was a tag. We did. It took me a minute to figure, oh, hey, it opens up. And the way she did that was to take that cutting die and make sure, I'm going to try to, let's see if I've got it. Yeah. Make sure that the very edge, the cutting edge of that cutting die is off the edge of your fold. So I've got it just barely off the edge of your fold there, and then I've taped it in place, just a couple of pieces of tape, so that way when it cuts, you've got that full shape that we're showing with that card, and you've still got that fold intact.
And you do leave the tape on it. You can use washi tape, you've used cellophane tape, just as you put it through the die cutting machine.
That's right. So you're going to die cut it just like that, and when it comes out, then you stamp and emboss it. This has been embossed with white embossing powder, so it kind of makes it like a color me paper.
It does.
Right, and start coloring it over it with, those are gelatos.
It looks like gelatos, doesn't it?
Yeah, and they're easy to just swipe with gelatos and then swipe over them with a baby wipe.
Right, so here's the collection that was used, and gelatos, as you know, go on looking like crayons, and then you just take a baby wipe and they magically melt into the art.
I love that you can emboss on this. So this was white cardstock that was die cut and then stamped with, I think, surfaces or a memento black ink, and embossed the white thank you and did the gelatos on top of it.
Very nice. And of course the instructions will be in the gallery. And then on the inside, layering, very clever to layer another tag, the medium-sized tag on the inside, do the stamping on it with the white embossing powder. So, and I also like how...
It's a gift card too, that was a cute idea.
Yeah, and I like how it's light here with the dark contrast, and then the dark contrast with the white on the inside. Very nice play that way.
So that's a really cute idea.
Speaking of cute ideas, now we have a full-fledged card all by itself. So that same large stamp is used, and cutting die is used on the front.
But this time it's used on pattern papers. And so all of the pieces that you are seeing there are die cut out of pattern papers from the Unforgettable paper pack, and then they were stamped with memento ink right over all of those die cut pieces. So
this little design here, this with the dots, that is the pattern paper. Then everything else is the stamp.
No, the little dots are actually part
I was wrong.
of it. Sorry, those are part of it. So anything that you see in black is from the stamp, but you can see in the background the text and the florals,
Let's get in closer.
From the pattern paper.
Thank you, John.
So there you can see.
You can see there's some flourishes, some green as well as
It's really
cream.
ornate. The stamps are just completely covering and ornate. There is a separate paper piecing done here. So she stamped the image again on this teal paper and then placed that strip over.
And then, of course, the butterfly and the flowers are part of the stamp and cutting dies.
And those beautiful pink jewel dazzles really add a nice sparkle to it.
And there is no inside to this card, so we'll just move right on. Now, for a very different look, look at this. This is quite interesting and quite lovely. So it's a horizontal, but look at the layering that Anne has done.
Right, and as you look, it looks like more than one tag in the back, but really this is one large tag that she cut strategically to place part of it at this end and part of it at that end.
And then she's layered two other right there.
I hope
There
I'm
are
right
actually
about that.
two.
You know
Yeah.
what, there are two,
Yeah.
because she used the top of each one. I thought she used one and cut it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just beautiful. And the colors are all from Distress Inks, and those are from, I believe, Picked Raspberry, Lemonade, and Ripe Persimmon. I love those colors, and they make me think of sherbet every time I look at them.
And I like the fact that we're seeing such a variety of colors with these, as well as a difference in the layout. Very fun. Now this paper in the center is the textured iridescent papers. There are 10 in the package.
We've really been having a lot of fun with these. They're very easy to die cut with. They don't have an adhesive backing. They have a paper backing. They're very easy to cut.
And they're gorgeous.
They are gorgeous.
They're just
and
bloody
even
gorgeous.
used in tiny amounts. It's just beautiful. In order to get the colors that you're seeing on these stamped images, and she'll go, on some of them, she'll go from a light to dark. She took all three of those stamp pads. Now, you can, she said, you can take them directly from the ink pad and just ink right on there, but she didn't want to mix up her colors and sort of get orange in the yellow, etc. So she just used 3 different cosmetic wedges, and you just get some ink on there and just start inking one end, and then you're going to mix them like that. And that way you don't mix up your colors.
You don't contaminate.
Right, you get them well inked. And I'm doing this lightly, so I don't know how much ink I'm going to get on there.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a lot.
It doesn't look like a lot, okay. But that's what I would do. Here, let's put more orange on there.
Thank you, I'll feel better.
Okay, and I'm sure it's not going to look quite as nice.
But you would normally die cut first.
I would normally die cut
okay.
first, yes. I'm just showing you that printing process. See, I got a little bit on there, but you can see that sort of ombre look, and that's the way she did it.
Very pretty. And so much is in the color combination and choosing those. So as you can see, she's got the 2 on their side, then 2 more layering, of course some butterflies, and more of the stamping on the background too. So you've got all of that. And then inside 2 more overlapped, and you see that little flash of the textured iridescent papers.
I love the use of ribbon too, just going through this and not even tied, and just sort of slipped through and going off the other side.
And the hello is part of it, and so is the just for you part of it.
So very pretty.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, what else did Anne come up with? Well, look at this. This is a sidestep card.
Right.
Now, the sidestep card is a die-cut card package like this. There's also a template. Normally, we think of it like this.
Right, because that's the way it comes when you get it in the package, and you just sort of keep using it that way. But
if you want to turn it inside out and just change all of those,
you're just going to reverse.
Right.
You're going to reverse each one of those folds. They're just going to go the opposite direction. And then you have a side step on the left.
There you go, just like that. And that's what Anne has done.
And it's just beautiful. I like this color. It's very basic color combination of just adding greens and purples. And it's just very pretty. And that's done with Spectrum Noir pens. And as a matter of fact, she stamped with Spectrum Noir pens too. She just took the actual pen. I probably chose the lighter of the 2, which was not great for on camera. We'll see how it works.
What were you thinking?
I don't know. This lighter green and the purple she used too, and there are 2 different sets, greens and purples, that she used on the Spectrum Noir pens. They come 5 in a pack, I think.
6 in a pack.
6 in a pack.
Yep.
And you just ink that up, and she said that she stamped it twice so she could get on that background. She got a 2-tone, once light and once dark, and you just, and there you go. You get 2 things going on there. I think it's great to stamp with Spectrum Noir. I don't always remember that.
Yeah, we don't really talk about that, do we? What I also like is the white in the background, because I think the white gives you a really nice canvas for these bright colors.
Right.
Fun to take that middle size tag, let that go up the large part, but then also look at that play of tags along the risers.
Right. So just a few extra tags. I love that you have all of these embellishments. You can make as many of them as you want.
Right.
That it's stamped in the background, and then just a few of them are foam taped. And these great big large purple bling, just beautiful.
It looks like that. Then on the inside, now we don't always do the inside of these die cut cards, but she has chosen to do that. Look how perfectly that fits.
Right.
Now she could have also gone the long way, but because she did that on the front, she wanted to do something horizontally.
Something a little bit surprising, and I like the ribbon going off the end there. It's actually cut even with the sides of the paper there. So.
Very nice, very, very clever. Good job. Okay, now we do have a couple more in our tag collection. This is fun.
So this is just kind of a neat way of combining the cutting dies without the stamps in this effect. And this one, when you're going to cut out the tag, you're going to place the tag there, you're going to place that little cutting die. I've got it the wrong way. You make sure that you have the cutting edges face down on your paper. And I would go ahead and tape those in place, just a little bit of tape so that they don't shift around, and run it through your machine just like that. That way you have cut out this heart, which you can place down at the bottom of the card, down here. So
will you bring the cutting dies back in?
Sure.
Because I think that taking this idea, which I think is really brilliant, and thinking, oh, you know what? That little heart works well for this. The star probably would. Maybe the butterfly could go on maybe a little larger one.
Sure, might even look better with a little larger, but just any of those you could cut out a shape like that.
Very clever.
And I thought it was really fun to just decorate the top of it just with a strip of paper and some jeweled
border dazzles.
Border dazzles.
Very nice. The Keeping You in My Heart, I believe, is from the Inside Out greetings.
Right.
And then on the inside, she has just done, again, a little one going on the side, and reuse that
just
heart.
Going off the edge of the card, and then another little heart.
Very sweet. Very, very effective, too. Okay, one more. And this is a trio. It's a bevy of beautiful tags.
And they are seen through the window of the front of that card. So as you open that card, you see that just the front are the windows, and there are the tags that are on the inside were actually cut from patterned paper. Then they were stamped and embossed with this great, there's a couple of pastel, and there's like a copper wow embossing powder there. So you've got that going on, and then each one of them are glued in place.
And it works beautifully with that window. So the greeting is on the front, the happy birthday. Also, the copper in, as you said, the wow embossing powder and the copper jewel dazzle. So that's playing with the
zing, those pastel zing colors. The interesting thing about this, and here I'm going to grab it for a moment and talk about it. You did say that that's on the front, but it's interesting that she actually put it on the back of the window so that you could sort of see it peeking out from behind. But what Anne wanted to mention about this is in cutting that window in the card front, you're going to start by covering the card front with patterned paper, and then you're going to, one at a time, place the tag on there. You're going to run it through, cut one window, run it through, cut another, and for sure tape that in place so you get it right where you want it. But she said in doing this, this is a 6.5 inch wide card. So not all die cutting machines are have a 6.5 inch wide cutting bed. Some of them are only, we have a Big Shot, which is a 6 inch wide, and we have an E-Bosser, which is an 8.5 inch wide. So this will work great on that. If you don't have that wider cutting bed, she said just take a piece of cardstock that's 6 inches wide, do this effect, and then you can place that on the front of your card. And you can cut it out, or you can just, you could even cut the front panel off of your card about that far, and then place that cardstock on top of it. So you've got some options.
Or cut the card. We tend to use the pre-done white cards. They measure 5 by 6.5, as you said, and that just is a faster way for us to do card making. So but of course you can use cardstock and make your own size. But this is just gorgeous, and this is out of the Artful
Watercolors, right?
Which, as I said, is a no-fail. Also, adding some bows to that bridge between those.
That's cute.
Those pieces.
Just two right on that edge. That's really interesting.
Fun color combination. Yeah. Okay, we have done a nice job of tags. Thank you, Anne. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move into labels.
Labels.
And the labels are a generous size, as you can see. They're going to range from 6x4 down to 1 by
half inch, and that's talking
little
about
pieces,
the embellishments. Right. But this one I think is around 4 inches long and about 1.5 inches wide. So just beautiful. You've got all of those different sizes and all of these beautiful trims, which are just gorgeous.
And the stamps to coordinate, again, with words and with all of those little trims, as we call them.
And again, these are separate. So what you're seeing in the center, this is separate, and the thank you is separate. They're just embedded in the packaging here. So you can mix and match all of these. I love that beautiful flourish. There's 17 of these silicone stamps and lots of different sentiments.
And ideas on the back, and we'll show you more right now. We are going to start with a scrapbook page because I know scrapbookers out there saying, hey, what about us?
This is such a beautiful page and totally unexpected. This is done on the
this is Trailblazer
paper pack. This is one of our new paper packs. And what I love about this is that, first of all, she cut out those large photos with the cutting die. Then she stamped on them.
Which, by the way, I think is brilliant.
Absolutely. Then she stamped on them. You can use a surfaces or a stays-on ink. And then she used some of the embellishments to surround them.
So that's going to be this flourish, which she cut out of the metallic paper. This is just, and now this is not holographic. This is just a good solid metallic gold. You're going to see this a couple of times.
It's not an overpowering shine, so it doesn't take your eye away from the important image, which is that couple.
So she's die cut that, but she's also die cut and stamped on that gold.
Right, on some of the smaller elements. So you've got extra little elements there. Here you've got a piece that she stamped on this one. She die cut on pattern paper and stamped and computer journaled on it.
And I think that's an important thing to remember with the pattern paper. We've seen that a couple of times, is that it's going to give you, I think, a richer finish. It's great to use cardstock, but don't dismiss pattern paper, because I think it's going to give you some richness that you may not ordinarily get.
Beautiful. I also love the fact that she took some of these embellishments and sort of wrapped them around the ends of these labels. She just sort of tucked the ends. The little scrolls from this one, the scroll is here on top and that center part is covered, and this she did the reverse.
So very pretty. Also, that flower's been stamped on the metallic, and she did a little matting. Up here on this second photograph, same thing, doing the die cutting and the stamping, beautifully positioned. Don't you love the clear stamps? And more of the metallic.
And then off in the corner, it's just going off the edge. So that creates an awful lot of interest there. It's just sort of cut off the edge is unexpected. You don't have to see every single, you don't have to see that label 3 times just the same. You can change the look.
I also have to say, I think Trailblazer is really a fun choice for an outdoor wedding, which obviously this was.
So a little unexpected, but it works perfectly.
Okay, now we'll move on to some layering, which I think is also an excellent idea. And this is, as you can see, the large label, then and doing some stamping around it, so that large label and that large stamp, and then going to the others. Now these are all kind of big rectangle ovalish, and then layering on top.
So you can layer them on top, just the same direction, or you can turn the direction and get a little different look. I love that the colors here are coordinated by adding them in the embellishments at the top and the bottom.
Again, these have been die cut and stamped out of the pattern paper, so that's giving you that color combination that works. And some tiny, let's get in close, some of the tiny jewel dazzles in the center of that flower just add a bit of bling. So there we go.
Just a beautiful look.
And this card doesn't have an inside, so we're just going to move right on to the next project. And here we have, again, some layering, but in a different way.
This is a beautiful look, and this is also on the Artful watercolor papers. So you've got this great sort of artsy background with this real delicate cutout of those labels, and they're matted on the textured iridescent sheets.
Right, which we just saw, and then you also have these flourishes going,
right,
which is also one of the trims of the cutting die.
So one of the cutting dies
just
there.
That little bit is adding all of that.
It does. It adds quite a bit. And so stamped on there, each one of these items are matted, including that dragonfly. I think it's interesting that if you back up just a little bit, you can see that this label is not centered on this label. It's just a little bit off to the right, and just enough so that you can cut the end of this label off. So that creates some interest, and then you've got that large bow.
Yeah, speaking of which, let's take a moment on this bow. This is the 1.5-inch crepe ribbon, which the design team absolutely loves.
Oh yeah.
And look what has been done. So it's generous on this card, but it really supports it beautifully.
Right.
And she has taken one piece and she wrapped it around the paper before she attached it to the card.
Right, and she does mention that. When you're planning your card, you want to think about, let's see, I don't want to glue this piece down until I've got the ribbon around it. So you do want to think that way.
And then a bow on top. So one piece going and then a bow on top. Beautiful.
And then you've got those labels on the right, and then as you open it, you've got that label on the left.
Right. And again, this is one of the papers from the Artful Watercolor. Kind of looks watercolorish, doesn't it? But plenty of room to write your message, and just a little bit with the textured iridescent paper. And just
another beautiful look. We have more.
We have more, and this is something very different, which is very fun and something we love that Anne does for us. So a couple of things are going on.
Which are, first of all, the mirror sheets. So you're seeing the mirror sheet on the front.
Now the mirror sheets, there are, I think, 8 of them in the collection.
Right.
These are 8 inches by 9 inches. And they are self-adhesive.
They are self-adhesive, and when you cut out with what we've found when using the cutting dies, you need just sort of a little bit more extra oomph if you're going to cut some finer details.
Yes, because of that other sheet on it, the adhesive.
Right, with the adhesive. And we generally use a metal adapter sheet, which we have been using flashing, metal flashing that you can get at a hardware or a lumber product store, something like that.
But we're looking to carry one, so very, very soon we'll have one.
So that's just something that's going to go within your cutting die sandwich in those cutting platforms. And I generally place it underneath my cutting die so that it pushes the cutting die into the paper that you're going to cut. That's the way we generally do. That's the best effect. And the way she did this particular card is that she took the metal, the mirror sheet, she removed the backing and put it on the card front. Then she opened up her card and cut that opening out. Then she backed it with acetate that she had stamped and embossed with the silver. Actually, it comes from the Encrusted Jewels silver embossing powder.
Okay, so let me just show you what those things are. So this is the silver encrusted jewels. Now the encrusted jewels has 5 different types of things in there, and Anne has chosen one of them, the silver embossing
powder that has the glitter within it. So that is just it. But it's interesting to me that I would imagine you take your acetate, you stamp and emboss it, and then you place it so you can get it perfectly over that window before you tape it in place. But the embossing is actually on this side.
It's on the back side.
It's on the back side, and it's kind of smooth on this side. I thought that was a great look. But this great little bow down here is just beautiful too, and that's made out of iris suede.
Design Tool 7.
Design Toolkit number 7.
And here's the iris. So the play of shiny and bright and pretty with the deep, rich suede is very, very interesting and very fun.
And I love that. Then
you want to pat it, don't you? You just want to, okay, that's smooth, and then that's got, it's very nice.
It's a kind of a texture feast, I guess.
Is.
And then down on the inside, you just she's just layering those cutting. Actually, this one this big suede one, she cut out the suede with the other cutting die centered, so that this actually creates a window to that background paper.
Because see, that's the same blue.
Right. So just beautiful.
It
beautiful
is just gorgeous, and nice that as you have that sentiment framed and then open it up, then you've got the glitter. So you kind of have nice surprises as you're exploring all of this. I think it's interesting that the flowers are actually kind of the plainest thing on the card.
Right, it's just sort of a fluid chalk ink in a complementary color. That's an interesting look.
Now we have one more, and then this time Anne has done, of course, something else, and she has played with vellum.
Right, so in this one she created a window. First she covered the card with this patterned paper. Then she cut...
Looks like Trailblazer to me.
Trailblazer paper, and she cut out that window, and then she placed the stamped and embossed vellum over the window and covered it with these cut out die cuts, which she actually embedded. She embedded this die cut within a cutout window of that gold die cut.
And I think it's interesting, notice that this is cut off. This is not, you don't see the whole label.
Right.
And sometimes you don't think of doing that. You think, you know, hey, I want to use the whole piece. Well, how effective this is. And I love the play of the golds on the green.
Oh yeah, it's just beautiful. And again, that sort of muted gold, so it doesn't overpower.
That we saw before.
Right, and that fine gold embossing powder just matches it perfectly. Down at the bottom, I wanted to mention, this is kind of a cute little technique. So she's got this strip of paper going across. She stamped and embossed directly onto the card, right over that strip and everything, every other heart, and then stamped and embossed the other hearts.
You do it like that so you can see
on
the
a
dimension.
separate piece of paper and cut them out and foam tape them over.
We can see this in person, but on camera they probably all look like they're foam taped, but not so.
So every other one just adds interest. Always fun to add. Anne likes to add fun little twists.
She does, and I think it's also interesting that this vellum and gold and metallic, all very rich, beautiful, and then we have some twill, which is kind of rustic, and all on the Trailblazer, which I think is a really interesting
and it balances
choice.
It. Now what I like is that when you open it, now you can see through that vellum on this side. So that's kind of neat. But she does place that white right back there so that you can see, when you're looking through, you can see it nice and clear, but then when you open it, you've got that vellum window.
Now, one caution, you would really be writing your message down here, because you wouldn't want to write it here, although that kind of looks like it needs something when it's open. But
because if you did write it there, you'd be able to see it through that window. But still. And I'm sure she used the cutout window, that label is what she used on the inside.
Now, another thing is thinking of this design as for birthday, for retirement, for anniversary. This is deepest sympathy, but I think this really could play in a lot of different themes.
Oh, sure. And most of these you can, well, that's what is with the stamp sets. They have several different sentiments, so you can mix and match.
So I think that we've done a very good job with Anne's help of showing you labels and trims and tags and trims. And they are great coordinating sets, so hopefully you'll enjoy those. And I wonder what we're going to have tomorrow. Please join us. See you then.